quite effectively. Online classes struck us as a hammer. We really didn't know how to go about it initially, but because of multiple issues that were raised and discussed, but fortunately, we have been able to conquer that as well. The duration and the most importantly, the level of commitment gave us the motivation to go ahead and experience the digital platform. I'm sure most of you will agree that the progress and the interest has been gathered in amongst the parents as well as the children. What I see and have observed during these 2 months, that the children have really progressed because you as a parent have been giving very good time to the children. And patiently, here I have to applaud the teachers who have been patiently administering and as well as programming the whole classes. They are, scheduling their things within the time span and doing wonderful job. So we must give a applaud to that, a very big hand to them. Parents and the school, they always have formed the base. They've always created the foundation for our children. And I believe that this crisis will show us a simple and educative way to emerge, rise, and stand strong. Hence the 3 A's. What I feel, there are the 3 A's that we need to think about. And what are those? Adapt, adopt, and anchor. The present, because this is the present that we need to deal with. We just cannot have it, without y'all. So when we are doing it together, we have to adapt, adopt, and anchor the present, and just flow with the wind, because that is the nature that has to, bring us together. Please be ready. Now we will be, because the time is running short, but we will certainly have the recurring meeting after this. But I will hand over the program, the session to Mrs. Sapru. A little bit about Mrs. Sapru I would like to tell you all before. Okay, let me just tell you a little about the counselor, the psychologist, counselor, Mrs. Jyoti Sapru. She had started her mission in 1991 after doing her master's in postgraduate diplomas in counseling and guidance from different universities. She has she has been doing the counseling in established institutions like Siemens, HRD, Young Learners, Montessori, St. Thomas Girls, Modern High for Girls, Lakshmi Pat Singhania Academy, Ashok Hall Group of Girls Schools. After gathering a lot of experience, she has been successfully running her own counseling center now. And now I would like you to introduce you to Ms. Jyoti Sapru. And let me just...
Yeah, hi Hema ji. I think there's a stop share option, the red button next to the green one. Stop share. Yeah, you can just press that.
Just a minute, give me a minute.
Yeah, where you had the screen sharing next to it.
Okay.
On the top of your screen, on the top.
The yellow button or the green one?
The center big green button, just next to it, there'll be a stop share button, the red color.
Okay, okay.
On the top, just go on the top, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now we done.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning, and thank you for having me. Good morning, parents, teachers, children. I want to start by saying that I must congratulate all of you for attending this webinar, for taking out your time and paying attention to us. What we are going to talk today is definitely for your benefit. And I hope you will go back learning something new from this webinar. So welcome to all of you. I just want to begin with a small story. Once upon a time, there was a jungle, there was a forest, and there was a big fire in that forest. So all the animals of the forest, they were running out. But there was one small sparrow. She took all the water she could in her small little teeny weeny beak, and she was flying towards the forest. And everybody asked her that there's a big fire in the forest. Why are you going there? But that sparrow said, I have to do my duty, no matter how small it is, no matter how little I can, but I have to do my duty. So this is a big learning from this story, that we all have to do our duties, no matter whatever is happening outside. Another small example I can give you, when Germany was bombing London, there were bombs falling on the head of the people. Winston Churchill, he told his people, keep calm and carry on. So that is what is the motto today for us, dealing with COVID, dealing with lockdown, we are dealing with children sitting at home. Everybody is having a tough time, but we have to just follow this, keep calm and carry on, doing your duties positively with all your strength. And I'm sure we will come out of this in a very, very strong way. So I just wanted to show you some slides. I will put that, Hema ma'am, on the screen share. Please let me know if it's visible.
Yes, it's very much visible.
Okay, ma'am. So I just want to introduce what the UNESCO Director General Audrey Azoulay, he has warned that the global scale and speed of the current education disruption is unparalleled. The coronavirus disease and the social distancing measures that many countries have implemented have caused disruptions to daily routines, like we all know. And as of April 20, schools have been suspended nationwide in 188 countries, according to UNESCO. Over 90% of enrolled learners, that is 1.5 billion young people worldwide, are now out of education. So this clearly shows us the gravity and the extent of the problem that education system might be facing. Now I'm going to begin with my presentation. Again, I have to start the screen sharing for that. Yeah, ma'am, Hema ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, very much.
Okay, ma'am. So first we are going to discuss the effects on the mental health of the children, and then we will discuss how we can help them get better physically, mentally, overall there is an improvement, and we make maximum utilization of their homestay. So firstly, I feel it's very important, there's no need to hide, because coronavirus is not going to harm the children. What is harming them more is the disruption in their daily lives, which has been caused by this pandemic. So do in your own ways, coming to their own level, try and explain to them what is coronavirus. Okay, now kids are feeling the impact. How do you define this? How do you feel that the kids are feeling this impact? Children are not becoming sick. Basically, they are not being attacked by the virus, but the fear of contracting the virus is the biggest driver of anxiety between all of us. And what's affecting most is the new normal to live post corona, the way we have been living with social distancing, sanitizing. This is the new normal for all of us. It's going to be when the schools reopen also, we have to follow this. So the kids are going to feel the impact. The children certainly are being impacted, and this is why they have been living in a changed world. So it is up to us as trainers, as caregivers, as educators, that we try to introduce them this new normal in a very positive way. And especially if, like we see the cases are spiking, they are surging, there's a lot of tension around us. So if there is a sick family member or a loved one, or there has been some loss, the inability to socialize with friends itself is a very big drawback in their developmental process. So all this has to be dealt with extra love, extra care, extra patience. The upheaval that they are experiencing is going to be reduced by us to a certain extent. Now, recommendations to support and protect children's emotional well-being during the pandemic. You have to understand the reactions to the pandemic may vary. Human behavior is very, very complicated. We cannot have one yardstick. We cannot have one rule that will apply to everybody. Somebody will have fear, somebody will have anxiety, somebody will have a panic attack, somebody will have a phobia. So you have to understand and deal with the child in a different way, understanding the reactions are going to be different for the same situation. One situation cannot have one reaction. The reactions may vary. So the children's responses to the stressful events are unique to every child, and they are varied. Some children may be, imitable or clingy, and some may regress. They may demand extra attention or have difficulty with self-care, difficulty in sleeping, eating disorders. New and challenging behaviors are natural responses, and the adults can help by showing empathy, patience, and calmly setting limits when needed. Now, what is the difference between the adult and the child? The child doesn't understand, the adult understands. We are grown, we are developed. Yes, nobody was prepared for this. It just happened overnight and we were left indefinitely to deal with this problem. But we can keep calm, keep positive, keep our strength, and move in the right direction. With the children, of course, ensure the presence of a sensitive and a responsive caregiver. The primary factor in recovery from a traumatic event is the presence of a supportive, caring adult in a child's life. It is very, very important. It may take an extra toll on you. You may not sleep, you may not eat, you may have your stresses, but that should not be brought down to the child. Even when a parent is not available, children can benefit greatly from care provided by other adults like foster parents, relatives, friends, who can offer them consistent, sensitive care that helps protect them from the pandemic's harmful effects. Hema ma'am, as I continue, if anybody has anything to ask, they can write in the chat boxes and we'll deal it later in the question answer round.
Yes, here we can tell the parents, please parents, if you have any queries, just write it in the chat box and we'll make a note of it.
Okay. So, you know, I have made this presentation with cartoons and bright figures with bright colors so that we are going to explain to them the situation in a way that they can understand. Okay, now coming to social distancing. I strongly feel that social distancing should not mean social isolation. Children, especially young children, when we are talking about our children, they need quality time. It's not that you are with them is enough, but what are you doing when you are with them? So the need for quality time with their caregivers and other important people in their lives. Social connectedness improves the children's chances of showing resilience to adversity. If they feel supported, if they feel cared for, if they feel protected, any adversity that is coming from outside, they will be having the strength to fight it. So creative approaches to staying connected are important. Example, writing letters, online video chats, or any kind of activity which will connect them socially with people they love to see, their teachers, Hema ma'am, anybody, you know, they should be having that connectivity. So providing age appropriate information, like I was telling you before also, children tend to rely on their imaginations when they lack adequate information. If I don't have the information in my imagination, I will build up things unnecessarily, which may lead to a negative thinking process. So they need to be having adequate information. The adult's decision to withhold information are usually more stressful for children than telling the truth in age appropriate ways. Now, what is age appropriate ways? You may have a preschooler, you may have a college going child, so you cannot have the same way of communication for both. It has to be different. Adults should instead make themselves available for children to ask questions and talk about their concerns. They might, for example, provide opportunities for kids to access books, websites, and other activities that present information in child-friendly ways. In addition, adults should limit the children's exposure to media coverage, right? They should not have too much exposure to social media and adult conversations. Please understand, we as humans are, you know, able to absorb 2 billion sensations every second. Yes, 2 billion sensation every second are being absorbed by the human mind. So the child is like a sponge. They are absorbing everything that's happening. If the mother and father are talking, or the in-laws are talking, or the servant is talking, they're absorbing everything. So we have to be very careful that the adult conversations about the pandemic, even if you're going through a financial crisis or whatever, has to be kept away from the child. These channels may be less age appropriate. Ongoing access to news and social media about the pandemic and constant conversation with threats to public safety can cause unnecessary stress for the children. It's not like a cricket score that we need to know how many people have died today or how many people have survived today. We are alive, we are healthy, we are happy, we are positive. I'm not saying that you cut yourself out from what's happening. It's enough for you to know, but the child need not know, is what I'm trying to say here. Okay. So about the scientific part also, washing of hands, using hand sanitizers, and we have to make them understand it's not that if the disease will leach onto you, it's the end. No, you can get better, you can be cured, you can come back. So always give a very optimistic and a positive end to whatever conversation is happening in front of the children. Create a safe physical, emotional environment by practicing the 3 R's: reassurance, routines, and regulation. First, the adults should reassure children about their safety and the safety of their loved ones and tell them it is adults' job to ensure the safety. Secondly, the adults should maintain routines. If I am not maintaining a routine, how do I expect my child to maintain a routine? You must always maintain routines to provide children with a sense of safety and predictability. Example, regular bedtimes and meals, daily schedules for learning and play. And third, adults should support children's development of regulation. When children are stressed, their bodies respond by activating the stress response system. To help them manage these reactions, it is important to both encourage them to engage in activities that help them self-regulate. Why do we say that we need to have 30 minutes of exercise? Because it's going to secrete such happy hormones in the body, nothing else. You feel energetic. Why do we need sunlight? Because it's going to build up our immune system. So it's just not about sanitizing or distancing or exercising, but why do we need to do this has to be explained. So that's very, very much important for their own self-regulation. It will become a part of their system and they will continue to do that even when you are not around. So exercise, deep breathing, mindfulness, meditation, regular routines for sleeping and eating. In addition, it is essential for both children's emotional, physical well-being to ensure that the families can meet their basic needs, that is food, shelter, and clothing. That is all. I think we have learned so much that we should just have a simple life, simple food, and just be together.
Just intervening here.
Yes,
we will be having a recurring, so they can, again join the meeting in the same ID and password. Because we are running out of time, and we can have the recurring continuous.
Finish, ma'am, in this meeting, and next meeting we can take up the question answers.
Yes.
Another 6 minutes is enough for me.
There are only 7 minutes, 6 point something left. So we can continue with it in the recurring. They have to rejoin.
Now, increasing children's self-efficacy, self-efficiency, how to make them more efficient. The self-efficacy is a sense of having agency or control on especially important trait during times of fear and uncertainty. In normal times, we don't have to put in this extra effort. It is now that it is a crisis all over the world. So we have to do something. What are we doing as parents is that extra effort of making them self-efficient in this feeling of fear and uncertainty is removed. Children often feel more in control when they can play an active role in helping themselves, their families, their communities. For example, children can help by following safety guidelines, washing their hands, preparing for home confinement, helping to cook and freeze the food, volunteering in the community, in your building, writing letters or creating cards or any artwork for the elderly people in the building or sick friends, or sharing supplies with a neighbor. You know, this kind of community building will give them a feeling of security. They feel happy doing all these activities. and create opportunities for caregivers. Now, see, we can't pour from an empty cup. If I am unhappy, if I am sad, if I am negative, I cannot give positivity to others. So it has to be that you take care of yourself first as a caregiver. So create opportunities. Children's well-being depends on the well-being of their parents and their caregivers. Caregivers must be taken care of themselves so they have the internal resources to care for others. To this end, adult caregivers can engage in self-care by staying connected to social supports. Very, very important. Getting enough rest and taking time for restorative activities, exercise, meditation, reading, outdoor activities, and above all, I feel is our prayer and our gratitude to God for having kept us safe. Seeking help from a mental health provider is also important when adults struggle with very high levels of stress and other mental health challenges. This is where the role of a mental health worker comes in. Sometimes the problem is not capable of being handled by the adult, or if the child is not responding, if the adult is not able to take his own stresses in a positive way, reach out, seek help from a mental health professional. So seeking professional help if children show signs of trauma that do not resolve relatively quickly. Emotional and behavioral changes in children are to be expected during a pandemic as everyone adjusts to a new sense of normal. If children show an ongoing pattern of emotional or behavioral concern, example, nightmares, they are not able to have happy sleeps, and excessive focus on anxiety, increased aggression, regressive behaviors, or self-harm, then do not resolve with support only. Professional help may be needed. Many mental health providers have the capacity to provide services via telehealth. You have therapy provided by telephone on an online platform, and an in-person social contact must be restricted. Emphasize strength, hopes, and positivity. This is what everybody's been saying. Children need to feel safe, secure, positive about their present and future. Adults can help by focusing children's attention on stories about how people can come together, find creative solutions to difficult problems, and overcome adversity during this epidemic. Talking about these stories can be healing, reassuring to children and adults alike. I think we have less than a minute.
Yeah, so we will, some parents have joined just lately. So we will do the recurring again. So we'll take a break of a minute and then join again.
So we will join back with the same password and ID, right?
Yes.
Okay,
okay. Please join, because we can have the recurring for another 40 minutes then.